Up in this area we have our oil fill, we have the dipstick hiding right around the corner, the fuel filter hiding right around the corner, our batteries, and our battery switch where we can shut the batteries off during the lockout tagout procedure so we can be disconnected. Our primary fuel filter, our alternator, and our fuel transfer pump. You'll be checking the oil on a regular basis if you're in charge of maintenance. If you had a long run and you had to fill, this of course is the place to fill it. And if we have a plug filter, both filters are right here and can be filled. There are also built-in drains within the system so you can evac the oil and the coolant outside the unit. A lot of the guys usually just disconnect them inside and drain into a bucket if they can. It's just if it's more convenient. There are disconnects on the outside of this for the different loads. They're not labeled yet 100%, I don't think. But these go to the different loads that are downstairs. They're fusible disconnects. And that's unfortunately what kind of clouds our vision on this particular side. And back here we have our control panel. It's an EMCP 4.2. Right down here on the bottom. Someone asks you, you're asking a question, or someone's trying to help walk you through something, they need to know that, because that's telling them what you're standing in front of. There are several panels that look like this, but they don't all function the same. This is a nice panel. It's very user-friendly. It prompts you, and pretty much what you see is what it is. You have a stop button to shut it off, automatic, so it'll automatically start, and a run button to run it if you choose to run. On our display, you can pick your AC display, showing you all the electrical items during your run. It'll give you your volts, amps, hertz, power factor, kilowatts, kVAR, and right on up to your kilowatt hours on the generator. Same thing with your engine. It'll give you all your temperatures and pressures, and as you use the scroll buttons, you can scroll down and see the rest of the items that are in there, such as your intake manifold temperature, your fuel temperature, your fuel and your boost pressures, your total consumption to date, and your fuel rate when you're running. And when you get to the bottom, it says that's it, no more available. Then we have our main menu, which is your views, which would be AC and whatnot. Actually will go in there, so we can look at our input-output statuses, an event log, the internal voltage regulator if that is programmed in operation. The engine overview, which is that button, your AC overview, which is that button. Some of the earlier ones that we talked about, first the IO status and event logs, those are good for diagnostics. IOs are more so for a technician, but your event logs, and you don't even have to go, your event log is right here. As you can see, active events, there are none. There are none in the genset controller, there are none in the engine controller. There's an external input-output module, there are none in there. There are faults, however, logged in there that were events that happened prior. So if we went to our genset control during the testing we were just doing, we got a low fuel level warning, that's inactive. At one point we had low charging system, genset not in auto, emergency stop shutdown, and low engine temp warning. They may have shut the power off for this for a little while at one point in time. A lot of those codes seem to be that. If a warning comes in, all your major warnings and shutoffs are all right here on your annunciator. You'll get an amber light on one side for a warning and a red shutdown on the opposing side if it is a shutdown. This is also down in the Fire Command Center, replicates everything that is up here. They are not wired lights, it runs on RS-485 data. And you can put almost as many of those as you want in the system. With that being said, when you get a warning, the amber light here will flash to tell you you've got a warning, and if you get a shutdown, the red light will light up to give you a shutdown. We were talking before about tripping breakers, so I guess now is actually a pretty good time to find out what happens, because I want to show you how to reset a fault, because it's very important. I'm just going to silence the horn while I do this, but we're going to e-stop the engine, and the breaker just tripped. As you can hear, we have an audible, and I silenced it with the acknowledge. If that alarm comes in and I hit this acknowledge button, or the one downstairs will stop all the alarms. It's a global acknowledge. But as you can see now, I have a red light and I'm locked up, I'm shut down. And as you can see, my remote, we're going to go back to the beginning of event logs. We have a couple things going on now. We have two active events. One in the genset control, which is the emergency shutdown is present. And if we back out of there, we have one in the engine control, and that's going to say that emergency stop is active. It actually activates both. We actually remove power from a portion of that computer so that it cannot function. So in order to reset any faults, it's 3 easy steps. You cannot reset a fault in automatic. And of course, nothing's going to happen if you go to run. So everything we do, it has to be in stop. So we're going to press the stop button, and that's going to give us an amber alarm for not in automatic. Then we just press the reset button, and it asks you, do you want to set all the events? Hit escape if you don't want to. Hit OK if you'd like to. And nothing happened because I didn't correct the situation. And that is what happens with the remote e-stops outside. And that's why you'll see on this, you'll see emergency stop shutdown active. You will see remote emergency shutdown active. There is also one, and that one says on the container, and there is a third one that's down in Fire Command Center. So on your panel, if that one is depressed, the writing will come up, emergency e-stop, Fire Control Center. So you know which one had an issue. So we're in stop, we tell it to reset, we tell it OK, and everything is great. Except we're not back in auto, and we haven't reset our circuit breaker. So with like every job, we would make sure we go back in the auto position and show that to our customer that we have no alarms and that the circuit breaker is now going to be closed.